Welcome back to another episode of Nobody's Muses. This is Rachel.
This is Crystal.
And Crystal, we're here once again. Probably, we're going to say this is our last conversation about Daisy Jones and the Six. Maybe.
Yeah, I would consider this kind of a season finale.
Yeah, a season finale
Mm-hmm.
of this run of our podcast, Nobody's Muses. If you are somehow stumbling upon us on your feed on YouTube, or we came up on something wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, please go back. Give us a listen to prior episodes where we have dove in and dissected the Amazon original series, Daisy Jones and the Six, based on the novel by Taylor Jenkins Reid. We've been off for a couple of weeks. We finished our conversation over all of the episodes and then some, but we wanted to come back and talk about a couple of things. So first off, we want to talk about Emmy nominations came out. Super exciting to see that the show received 9 Emmy nominations, which, as you and I have gone through this podcast together, we have kept saying, gosh, I hope they get the credit that they deserve because, we're probably super fans. We've read the book. We've listened to the audio. We've watched the show countless times. I watched episodes again. I just got back from vacation. I watched episodes on the plane ride down and I watched episodes on the plane ride back because I'm an anxious flyer as it is. And so sometimes when you have anxiety, you need things that are comfortable and that you enjoy. So for me, I watched Daisy Jones and the Six on the plane ride down. But we've got 9 Emmy nominations. So I wanted us to talk through these and, just kind of, share our thoughts and feelings. So first one for outstanding music supervision. Okay. Track 8 looks like we made it. Musical supervisor was Frankie Pine. And I believe Frankie Pine was pretty much the musical supervisor on every episode. And we have discussed the fact that she has done a lot of this work, and she has done a lot of quality work. I'm just double checking. Yeah, she's done Nashville, which is a show you and I both loved. She did Magic Mike. She worked on the music for the 2000 film Traffic. So she has done this before and she has done this well, and she does this for every episode, but she specifically got a nod for track 8. Looks like we made it. So that was pretty cool.
And that's a good one because that has like Boston. That like has a lot of because it's when they're on tour, and
Yep.
that's the moment where a lot of things change. I believe. I mean, that's at the end when she overdoses, isn't it? Track 8.
That's also the episode where Karen finds out she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really great episode. So we have Frankie Pine for track 8. Looks like we made it, receiving that Emmy nom. Then we've got another nomination for outstanding period costumes for a limited anthology series or movie. And that also went to track 8. Looks like we made it. So Crystal, help me understand. You may understand. Do they submit all episodes of the show, or do they just submit like
They submit
a single
one.
episode for Emmy consideration?
So they send one episode for Emmy consideration.
Okay. Track 8 looks like we made it for best, and they received a nomination for outstanding period costumes for a limited or anthology series. Denise Wingate and Derek was costume designer. Derek Sullivan, costume supervisor. I think we've mentioned throughout this as two kids that grew up in the 70s, had older siblings. There was not a piece of clothing I thought that didn't hit the mark. It was all, and I mean, the simplest of things, of a style of boot, a purse that was carried, everything hit the mark as far as the costuming of this series. So awesome job for that. Outstanding production design for a narrative period or fantasy program, 1 hour or more, very specific. And that went to track 10. So the final episode, track 10, Rock and Roll Suicide. So that's the culmination of everything. That's the Chicago concert, the breakup, all of that. So that got outstanding production design.
So that's going to include even like almost like locations. So all the different locations that they used, the hotel, the way they made it look like a big crowd. That's the production design. It's a little bit different than the art direction, but it's kind of part of that whole group.
Excellent. Excellent. Next up is outstanding casting for a limited or anthology series or movie, and that went to Daisy Jones and the Six.
And who was
So the
the
series as a whole, the
who was the
nomination
name
with
on that?
um, as far as casting,
Who did it?
Justine Arteta
Okay.
from CSA and Kim Davis Wagner from CSA. So that's a nomination for the entire cast, basically, right?
Well, it's for the casting, so it's
It's for the
basically
casting, but it's incorporating the entire cast.
yeah. So, but like, casting is its own special art, and so they are people who, if you look on basically like I'm for like for some, I'm such a nerd. Like I have a favorite casting person. Her name's Allison Jones, and basically every show that you love, probably like The Office, Parks and Rec, she did the casting for that, and she's done tons of casting for movies like Bridesmaids. If it's a comedy and it's been made in the past 20 years, there's a good chance that Allison Jones did the casting for it. So that's kind of like they are people, and they kind of, if you impress a casting agent, they might not use you for this, but they're going to keep you in mind for other things. And so they have a lot of power, and it's an incredible talent to be able to go, oh, I think this person would be good for this. Like they are basically they are curators of talent.
Next up, we had outstanding period and or character makeup non-prosthetic. And that went to track 10, Rock and Roll Suicide. So the final episode. And then we get outstanding lead actress in a limited series, and that went to Riley Keough for the show. So
I
that
think
to
she
me,
has a good chance on that. I do.
I think she does too. I'm not, my list that I have pulled up right now does not have all the other nominees on there. So but you know, she encapsulated Daisy just to perfection. And the fact that she is somebody who never sang or played music before, has always really, and I think part of it is probably trying to get out from underneath the shadow of her famous family. She went the film route as opposed to going to the musical route. But man, there's something to be said for DNA and natural talent, because she had it and did such a remarkable job in this, you know, with everything that she did. I saw a funny clip the other day. It was an interview that I hadn't seen yet. And I know in the book, there's a point in which Daisy chops her hair all off when she's over, I want to say when she's over in Greece,
Yeah, she does.
maybe.
Yeah.
She chops her hair completely off and comes back. They tried to find a wig that would work and could never find a wig for Riley that would work for her. And it was really a funny interview. And she talked about how they went through so many wigs and just could not find a wig. So they opted to just leave her hair long.
I think that's
So,
fine.
yeah.
So here's who she's up against: Jessica Chastain for George and Tammy, which I keep meaning to watch. I'm gonna have to get Showtime for a month
I know I
because
don't have
you know I
Showtime either,
love
but
George
yeah.
and Tammy. Catherine Hahn, Tiny Beautiful Things. Who Catherine Hahn is, great, but that don't. I mean, Ali Wong for Beef. If you haven't watched Beef, oh my God, it's intense, like so intense on Netflix. Dominique Fishback for Swarm. Haven't seen that. It's supposed to be good. And then Lizzie Kaplan for Fleischman is in Trouble. So some heavy hitters there. But I think people love it when people have to sing or look ugly. So I feel really, or look old. So I have a feeling, I feel really good about Riley for this.
Yeah.
So that would
Um,
just, but to me, when you think of all the TV shows out there now, really just getting nominated is truly, it's the truth.
And
There's
it's one
just so
thing,
much
it's one
content.
thing when it was, you had your three major networks, but
Yeah.
when you have all of these streaming services and some of them being stream only, they're never
Yes.
on network television. Man, the fact, like you said, the fact that she even got nominated is just
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, like, I don't think now things are snubs if people don't get nominated because there's just so much content out
Yeah.
there. I mean, especially when you think of shows that like Succession, where three actors got nominated for one category.
Let's keep going with outstanding supporting actress in a limited anthology series or movie, and that's Camilla Morone. Um, was nominated for Camille. So amazing. She does not have a lot of acting under her belt. She has modeled in the past. But again, we have, I'm sure she's got some stiff competition out there that she is up against, but she just really did such an amazing job of not only just she encapsulated the character so well, a character that, again, if you read this book beforehand, if you listened to the audio beforehand, you were invested in these characters before we came into the show. So everybody had, Taylor did such a great job of describing the look and describing the person themselves that, we came into it with a mindset of what Camilla was going to look like. And Camilla Morone did a great job bringing that to life.
And that one's a little bit more. I think I don't think she'll win it. There's too many people there who are like Niecy Nash, Juliette Lewis. Those are, Annalee Ashford is so great. I think that they have like a reputation. So for Camilla just to get nominated definitely is such a huge thing. But you never know. They love when people die. So somebody having cancer is always a thing that gets voted for too. So
the pity vote.
Yeah, pity vote.
Finally, or not finally, but next up is outstanding limited or anthology series. So the entire series was nominated. And again, I'm just happy that they got the acknowledgement because I think the show is worth it. So who are they up against?
So it's Beef, Fleischman is in Trouble, Monster, The Jeffrey Dahmer Story, and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The last one is outstanding sound mixing for a limited or anthology series or movie. It's track 10, Rock and Roll Suicide, for best outstanding sound mixing. So you have your, re-recording mixers, you have your production mixer, and you have your music mixer, and they did that episode is one that, there's ones that I'll go back to and watch just as their own. And like, I always hit number 3. I always hit track 3, and I'll go back and watch track 10. And, if I'm watching them out of order or something, I'll just grab one to watch. So
4 is really my favorite.
4 is
for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so there's our nomination. So now here's the next part of it is, who knows if we'll actually, we're probably not going to have, which kind of, we're not going to have a show, but I do hope they get to have an Emmy show. The Emmys are always, I like award shows. I like the Tonys. I like the Emmys. I like watching those. So I really want to see this. I really want to see the cast back together and glammed up, hopefully, to receive some awards.
I want to see some looks, man.
Yes.
And I also would like, what if they got to perform?
What if they got to perform?
I would lose my damn mind.
Oh my God, I would die. I would love that. I would love that. And they don't even have to I'd like them in costume, but we also know that the guys have cut their hair back off. So, they don't have to wear wigs. Don't put them in bad wigs. But man, oh man, oh man, I would love to see them perform.
Yeah.
That would be good.
I'd love to have a moment like whenever Gaga and Bradley performed at the Oscars, which I have watched that so many times. Like, I think I'm probably part of the 500,000 views on that. You're a good
150,000 of them.
If I'm feeling like I need to watch something, that's something that comes up very quickly. So
I understand. Okay, so what we did want to focus on for this episode is we wanted to focus on the original music for the show. And we wanted to kind of go back through it and talk a little bit about it. There is so much to discuss. I think for those of us who are, probably considering ourselves diehard Daisy Jones and the Six fans, I know that this is a constant on my Spotify. Without fail. Like when they do your year-end recap on Spotify, my top songs for this year are probably going to be all related to the Aurora soundtrack. So we're going to focus on the Aurora album. There's a lot of great original music, but we're going to focus on the Aurora album itself, and talk about some of the tracks on there. So let's go.
Okay,
Where do you want to kick it off at,
so
Crystal?
this is gonna have a little bit of like, I mean, music theory in it for people. I mean, it's a little bit nerdy, but I'm trying to, and some of it, I might be talking out of my ass. I'm just trying to, things that I've noticed. And I would say the one thing that I really noticed in most of the songs that were written for this is there is this constant, like most songs, rock songs especially, typical songs have, you have your major chords and then your minor chords, and they're kind of mixed together because they're in the same key a lot of times. So but in a lot of the songs written for this show, there is a definite kind of almost conflict or two very distinct things going on in the song, that it will start maybe in a minor key and then it will move into a major key. And minor keys usually are more sad or, intense, and then major keys are happy. So let's start with Aurora. So Aurora actually is, and when we look at it in the context of who wrote it fictionally, who wrote it, that is, it's Billy wrote this. This is his first song he basically wrote after all, going through rehab and stuff. And it's this song that is got happy chords. It starts in a major key. And let me just, we're going to try an experiment here. And I'm going to play it. If we're unable to share it, I will put in the notes. All of the notes will have this tracks and the segments that I'm playing. So let me just share my screen here. Okay, so that part, if you listen to that, that is like just happy music. And and it's basically, it's, there's some different kind of key chords there, but it's a major key, happy. And then as you get to this next part, okay, so there we've got like these cool sevenths, these bluesy songs. So it's kind of changing the tone, but it's still all in a major key. This whole song is major, it's happy, there's that kind of twangy thing. So when you think about what's going on in the actual songwrite, in the actual show, I think it's appropriate, and it might be just a coincidence, but I doubt it, because whoever, when they were writing this, they were thinking about each, the characters and where they were.
Right. So we should say all throughout this, Blake Mills is I think he writes on every one of these tracks. He produced every one of the tracks. Just a altogether kind of workhorse singer-songwriter. This one was written by Blake Mills, Cass McCombs, Chris Wiseman, and Matt Sweeney. And again, all of these just workhorse singer-songwriters. They've worked with everybody. They've worked on their own. They've produced. They've backed. They've just, yeah. So we got just some real, well-known singer-songwriters throughout the entire album.
Well, an interesting little tidbit also, I was listening to some other people, and they had just gone to the Joni Jam at the Gorge a couple of weeks ago, and Blake Mills performed with Joni. Like he's part of like Brandy Carlisle, her contingent, that whole group of people. So he's very just a well-respected music maker, So, okay, so we go to here, and then we go into the next track is Let Me Down Easy. And that one, once again, is doing something interesting, because it is, this is the first song that they write together. And let's just listen to it for a second. So if you're listening to that, that's minor keys right there. And that's, so it's kind of, there's some tension there with what they're doing. And then, and it's all about, the idea of the song is also kind of, I'm lost. There's these, there's conflict. And then when you go into the next part, oh, won't you let me down, let me down, let me down easy. If you're gonna let me down. So that part though is a major chord. So there's this it goes starts minor and then they switch into a major chord. Now that isn't that odd to do that much, but these are it's really distinct enough that me who's not I mean I've done some music theory, but I really notice it in this song about this idea. And I think, part of it has to do with the idea of what's going on with Billy and Daisy. I think it is there, and it's this kind of like also the idea of kind of this kind of when you're saying if you let me down easy, the fact that it's in this major kind of happy sound. Um, we talked about that before, how we like songs that kind of do that. So that's just I thought an interesting idea of what's going on there, and I
So
think
this song actually has two female writers, Ali Tamposi and Z Berg, along with Blake Mills and James Valentine. Um, Ali Tamposi co-wrote the Kelly Clarkson hit "Stronger," and again, has done a whole lot of other things, but that was one that stuck out to me. That a lot of people would know is that single of Kelly Clarkson's super popular. Zeberg has done a lot of her own music as a part of a duo. So just again, really talented journeyman songwriters that are out there, creating art every day.
so. Then I think a less probably a lesser known of the songs, "Kill You to Try" is the third track.
I love this song.
Oh, I love it too. And I feel like, but here's the thing about "Kill You to Try," especially, I feel like it starts a lot of their songs, also the songs on this album, which really feeds into the kind of the whole 70s of it all, is they kind of start off sounding one thing, and then there's like a weird, like they're not structurally built the way most pop songs are. There's like something different happening. "Kill You to Try" starts off in minor. I've been an angel all summer long. And I swear I've done nothing wrong. And kind of a bluesy, kind of minor idea. And then and that goes for a while. And then all of a sudden, we'll go to this moment where it changes to something really different whenever we get to it's kind of like a mid chorus, because it's not really the chorus. But if you listen to it, there's like a break, and he does this kind of bridge. Unspoken, could the truth ever until the lie? Can a promise ever be unbroken? Or will it kill you to try? So like there's this kind of abrupt change. Like he's talking, it's kind of an odd part of the song, because we've had a very different beginning and then this kind of bridge, and then we go into this, which is very different kind of song. What is it? And I think it's just a cool way to it just very 70s in that sense. A lot of songs, like you think of like Layla, or the songs like late 60s early 70s, and where they're really trying to experiment with the form. They're not writing pop songs anymore. There's something else happening here. And also for me, when I hear the "Kill You to Try," I think of there's a sequence of a montage of them making the Aurora album, and you see Teddy playing the xylophone, and it's from that song.
Yeah. And I just love the end of it. The lyrics at the end, it's like, let me come home, let me come home to you. And you hear Daisy singing, show me, I'd blind myself to see it. I don't know, something about that line. And then he goes on to say, what is it? I come home. What is it that I must do? I come home. And then she sings, if I tell you, promise me you're leaving. I don't know, something about, but the whole show me, I'd blind myself to see it. I love that line. This one has got Barbara and Ethan Grisco along with Blake Mills again. Just again, two singer songwriters that have they have the Barbara has the Bell Brigade that she and Ethan are in together. They're siblings, brothers and sisters. But yeah, they have the Bell Brigade, which is their own band, but they've written a ton of stuff for people. So, but that's one of my favorite, and I love the xylophone and that little tidbit of seeing the back of Teddy playing
Yes.
and getting involved in it,
I
as a lot
just
of
love
producers
that.
do.
I love that end part. Like I get that part in my head a lot. That and that do 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 do. Just that part is gorgeous.
Well, and we
Um,
know, isn't that the song when they finish recording it? There's like this this extended hug at the end that there's kind of a realization or something from Graham.
no,
I want
that's
to say,
after Let Me Down Easy.
oh shoot, okay, never mind.
It's okay. We'll take it out.
Okay, you can edit that out. Anyways,
And so then the next one, and I mean, Rachel, you can speak more of this one. Two Against Three is the next track. I don't really like this track.
it's not one of my favorites. But with any, album, you're gonna have your solid favorites. I would be curious to know the LP itself, because Amazon went out and marketed an LP for this so you can get it. I'm wondering where track, I mean, it wouldn't stop here because this is only 4 tracks in, but I'm curious as to where side A and side B are and where that break
If
is.
anybody has purchased that, I'm trying not to purchase more things so like that are going to take up space in my life. So, but
Yes,
if anyone else has purchased that and can tell us, I would love to know. So, leave it in the comments. Nobodiesmuses at gmail.com. So do it. But I just
please.
didn't. I mean, I just there's certain things I feel like it's kind of meandering and it's songwriting and I don't know. It just
Yeah,
wasn't for me. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to go for some kind of Joni Mitchell blue kind of idea. It's
I can see
just a
that.
woman and her guitar. Um, I would just say I don't think the lyrics or I mean Riley has a strong, gorgeous voice, but it's not got that kind of power that like a Joni Mitchell has.
Yeah,
So. Um, so then we go into, the
the
song.
song.
The song.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of in the book. It's the thorough. It's all through it, and in the show, it's the moment where she joins the singing and she turns the thing that he loved into something he hates.
But if we think about it, Look at Us Now on the Aurora album is actually a re-release because that was the single on 789, the Six's previous album. So, which I mean is fine. They had to get that song in on the Aurora album for the fans, but
Right.
yeah, they took this was kind of controversial because again, if you look at the original lyrics in the album or in the book, um and we even kind of had this, you could see this tension of what the lyrics initially were supposed to be and what Daisy changed them into. Kind of had the same thing of what the original Honeycomb was in the book and what Blake Mills did to change it. And actually, there's a lot of writers on this one: Jason Bozell, Jonathan Rice, Marcus Mumford, and Stephanie Smith, who's worked with the Chicks in the past, as well as Blake Mills has. But they changed the song up completely, which we won't rehash that. But I mean, I love the song. I love it. I listen to it a lot.
I would say the first time that I heard it, I was like, "Oh, the baby, baby, baby part." I don't know. I was like, you couldn't think of some lyrics to fill that part in, That's kind of just one of my own personal things. I mean, I get it. Hey Jude has lots of na na nas, but I know Paul can write lyrics. So, but I really do like it, and especially because I like what they're doing with it.
Hmm.
um there's there's a song, and then there's these breaks, this oh, we can make a good thing bad, like then it goes like the timing completely changes. You go from this a regular time, and then basically there's a break as they say, oh, we can make a good thing bad.
Well, and
And
then we have the break with Graham's guitar
right,
before they get into the line. How did we get here?
yeah, let me
How do we get
finish.
out? That guitar. Oh my god! I don't know what it is about that riff, that guitar. Just I
Well, yeah. So
love it.
I think one reason we love it is because it's probably, and I'll play both. So the other thing I would say is, though, I think the interesting thing too is that really strong part. Like, it's a break every time. When I know we can make a good thing bad, and what I believe the original lyrics for Billy were is, "I know that we can get it all back."
Yes. Yeah.
So she changes that and changes the whole meeting. And then when we get there and then we get, how do we get there? How do we get out? Looks like we used to be something to see. That makes it even harder,
Right. Well,
and
remember her lying a line of it's a speech, and at least it could be at the least it should be a conversation.
yeah. So lyrically
Um,
it changes, but also these ideas, these big, because of the way the break is in the song, that lyric change, in the world of Daisy Jones and the Six, is even that more of a big deal, because it's kind of, um, it's because this song doesn't really have a traditional chorus. It has a lot of verses, and it has these, "I know we can get it, make a good thing bad," but those, it's not a traditional, like, verse chorus type of thing.
right.
So, but yes, one of the big moments of the song, and I will share my screen, as Rachel was so excited to talk about, is this idea of the guitar solo. And let me just play this guitar solo from the song.
Dead. Dead. I'm dead. That moment, I'm dead.
I mean, it's great.
I'm just
It
dead.
is, it's love. It's such a great guitar solo, and I would say one of the reasons why I think it really, we really love it, is because it sounds so much like this guitar solo. Like,
I
I
mean,
mean, it's something I noticed from the very beginning. And like, Lindsey Buckingham has a very distinct way of playing, because he kind of slaps his fingers. Like, nobody else plays like Lindsey Buckingham. Whatever they're trying to do in, Look at Us Now, definitely is trying to kind of pull from that. I think in a really great way, not in a cheesy ripoff kind of way, but to establish, this is who we are. This is what this band is about. So,
and I think one of the other reasons why I love this song um, is then when we get to track 10 and we see this song take on yet another meaning as we see the demise of the band. Because we have that final scene where, the final concert scene where, um, Daisy gives Billy permission to leave the stage, even though they're going to play the song, and she ends up doing the song on her own, and she's singing these lines to each and every one of the band members. Billy's not there, but she's singing back to each one of these band members, and you see, the end of this band, even though they didn't know it was it was Daisy knew it was her end. I think Daisy knew it was her end, but it was almost like she was saying goodbye to everybody because she knew that
yeah.
she was done. She was done.
Yeah, it's
So
great. It's so good. So, but I would just say the whole point of that is, like, it's the idea of pulling that sound. I mean, she always said it was kind of about Fleetwood Mac. And so, and
right,
I think as the first track, that it really, the track that's kind of the, this is what this song, this is what this band is about. This is what this show is about. I think they kind of had to lean into that more than on
yeah,
any other song.
yeah,
Any other song, I think it really, I needed to have the feel of Fleetwood Mac there. So,
and I think they did it. They pulled it
yeah,
off.
yeah, especially even down to this, hearing the chords, the organ, the electric piano type stuff that in there. It's just really pulling those same, ideas that were
But
in.
as you said, not in a cheesy
No, I mean,
tribute band kind of sound.
when I heard the, song for the first time, and I heard that solo part, I was like, yes, this, they're doing it
God,
right. This is
that's so
what it's supposed to sound like.
yeah.
I didn't want it to sound like something new.
And I didn't want it to be modern. I wanted it to be time, period
Yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah.
And they did that.
Yeah.
Even though probably most of these people that wrote these songs may have not even been alive when Fleetwood Mac, when the Rumors album
No.
came out and those types of things.
Well, these people are born in the 80s, probably.
Yeah, yeah. So, they weren't around when those albums came, when those albums were released or when Fleetwood Mac was in their heyday, and yet they still, were talented enough and skilled enough to be able to capture the an essence, but still be very, very unique with the album. So, next up we have Regret Me. This was a hard one. This was a hard pill to swallow.
Yes, we've discussed it at length, so I think we can move on from it. But I would say this goes back to the same theme that I've been talking about. I mean, once again, before we get into Regret Me, I would say Honeycomb does the same thing where it, whenever that guitar solo is very minor, it's this very minor key. It's very kind of, and then we get into at the end when the very last time they sing "How Do We Get Here, How Do We Get Out," they've changed the key again, and it's major. I think it's like a suspended chord or something. I looked it up, but like it changes again, and because it's resolving in, and I think what's interesting, it's resolving just like the end of the song kind of resolves in a different way, just like the story of the band resolves into. Now maybe I'm reading too much into it, and they probably say like, "Oh, we just liked the way it ended," but it's there now, and that's how I interpret it.
I like that you're reading too much into it.
So then we can go to Regret Me. And as Rachel said, Rachel has feelings about this that we've discussed.
I have feelings, but I'm gonna get past it. But I will say, I mean, one of the original version had the amazing line, "When you hear rock and roll, I hope you regret me." That line.
Yeah.
I hope. Anyways,
it ruins rock and roll for you.
Yes. So I just screwed up quoting the line. So you can cut that out. But anyway, I mean, the original version has some great lines in it. But I've gotten past it because I do like the song.
So let's listen to, once again, we've got these key changes that I think are really interesting going on. And I sound like a broken record, but I just think that there's a reason they're doing this for a reason. I really truly believe. So we'll listen to it. You regret me and I regret you. Once again, it's the whole idea of minor. They're starting off, you regret me and I'll regret you. And we go through that a lot. And it's very much this kind of in a minor. The minor key is the dominant key. We go into major chords, but the minor, it's in the minor key.
Right.
And then we get, and the song goes and goes and goes, and there's a part where she says, "But I'm beating it to you, dude." And toward the end, we're about 2:19 out of 3:16 into the song, and she changes, and that's where it changes to a different key. Regret me, but I'm beating you to it, dude. Go ahead and regret me, but I always want to regret you. Okay, so you hear the difference between what we were hearing before and what we're hearing there, and I think once again, let's think about this in the context of the story that we're telling. There's this. Their fight. They have this fighting. There's this conflict. It's in minor key. And then we get to this part, and they are at the end. They have learned to regret each other, but be at peace. So it's I will too regret you, in the sense of we will both regret the things we've done, but that's okay. It's okay to have some regrets. And I feel like that's what they're saying at the end. And at first, you and I both were saying we don't really like the I will too regret you because it sounds weird. But I think when I listen to it and have thought about it a lot lately, it's the idea of I'm regretting it too. we're both
Yeah.
regretting it. You know, you regret it, I regret it. There's things that we said, there's things that were done that we missed. There's things that we missed out on because we aren't together. Um, you know, I just think it's deeper than I thought, and
Yeah.
but once again, that idea of kind of conflict and resolution is constantly going on in these songs.
And I think the one thing that makes this album so good is that we keep you get into it so well that you keep forgetting that these songs were not written by Daisy and Billy. I mean, that to me is like the thing about this that makes it so good and so unique and so special is that I listen to this and I don't think about this group of singer-songwriters, as talented as they are, writing these songs. I think about Daisy and Billy sitting down to write these songs, or Billy sitting down to write these songs, or Karen working out her parts on the. I mean, that to me is what makes this so ridiculously amazing. Is that I can forget that this is Daisy Jones and the Six did not exist. I can forget that.
Well, and it doesn't sound like manufactured in the sense that a way a lot of things like this. I mean, I would say successful ones, like the Monkees and things like that, which also I would say at the time pulled from the greatest songwriters of that time. So you've got Goff and King, you've got Boyce Hart, those, it's the same kind of idea of pulling some of the best songwriters of the time to make great music. And then, of course, the Monkees themselves, Mike Nesmith was a great songwriter on his own.
For
But
sure, for
um,
sure.
if we go to the next song, and I have is You Were Gone.
Yeah, You Were Gone.
Okay. So You Were Gone, I think, is another example of a sad song that sounds happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't have a whole lot of stuff to say about it. I would say, listening to it, one of the chord progressions in it really reminded me of the Grateful Dead's "Touch of Grey." I won't play it, but if you listen to those two songs, they're similar. And I think this one, I think it starts off, and Sam's voice is, I think it's a little struggling because it's a difficult melody, but
Mm-hmm.
then he gets into it, and I also think this song sounds a lot like kind of the Christine McVie
Yes.
songs from Fleetwood Mac,
Yeah.
and the way everybody's singing on it, like there's full vocal tracks where a lot of Christine McVie songs especially really took advantage of the harmonies of them singing together. So I thought that was what I noted about this. But I think it's a good song, and I mean, it's really sad. I mean, and I think you think about. I think this one, if you think about it, it's maybe not so. It's very much, I feel like um, a Billy song, but it wouldn't have happened without Daisy collaborating, because she's the one who was like, "You need to talk about how you messed up."
Yeah. Well,
So
like you said, the lyrics on this song are really, really beautiful. Like there's one like verse. It says, "A tree carving our names left high and alone. Nothing ever seems to stay that way. Not for too long. Where were you? Oh, when I needed you, you were gone. When I needed you, you were gone." So I mean, they're beautiful lyrics, I think. But yeah, it's this whole idea of I've gotta you gotta face what you really did.
right, I mean, I think he's kind of writing in Camila's perspective in a way,
Yeah.
like that's how I always read it. So beautiful song. And then we go into More Fun to Miss, and I think this one, I think, sounds the most modern. Like a lot of the the effects, the reverb effects don't sound as like the 70s reverb. I feel like they sound more in computer reverb
Contemporary.
to
Yeah.
me. Nothing against it. I just say I feel like it sounds a little bit more like that. Lots of layering of effects on this one, layering of her voices, that "Whoa," so that she's got going on.
Yeah.
Um, but kind of fulfills the brief of what it needed to do. This song.
Yeah, well, you think about, kind of where this song came in and, him showing up. She missed a session, didn't show up. Um, he went to go find her. She was drunk and high, and he got her out of the pool, and she's standing there in a puddle of blood because her feet are all cut up. And, she blew off an entire day of recording for them, comes back into the studio the next day and thinks that she's just going to come back to, no consequences for that. And that may have been, but Billy was going to give her some Billy gave her some consequences in this song. And then, she sits there, and I mean, you can tell, like, she doesn't want to do the song. She says she doesn't want to do the song. And then when she starts singing, she's just like real flat, and he just keeps cutting her off, keeps cutting her off, keeps cutting her off. And then we know what happens next. He takes her out into the parking lot, and they kiss, and then magically she comes in. Billy was we've talked about, Billy's manipulation there, but she came back in and threw down this track.
Well, I think it's funny if you watch it on Spotify, the video, because it's just the loop of that kiss. It's just a loop. So, but it's really heavy. It's really heavy. It's one of the heavier songs. It's like the guitar is playing, lower notes.
Yes.
And it's just it's very different from a lot of the other songs. And then the next one is kind of in that same vein, I feel like, and it starts off with kind of it's a looped backwards cymbal, which, like the first songs that I remember really hearing that is in like Tomorrow Never Knows by the Beatles and Rain, where it's got that the cymbal is played and it goes back and it makes this like kind of sound, and that's kind of throughout Please. And then it's also interesting because there's these hard like piano chords on the downbeat. It's just like
it's a really dark. I mean, it's kind of a dark song, and not only lyrically, because the lyrics are pretty dark, but musically, it's a pretty dark song.
Yeah, and it's basically this idea of like basically stop tempting me in the way, and then it's just this hard, and it's this please. And I mean, think about like in the world, if this was the real world, and you're Camila and you hear this song for the first time after you've already seen what's been going on,
right? Well, and then we know that she walked into the scene of her getting up in the middle of the night, and Billy's outside on the phone, and Camilla sees the lyrics, and then they do the song, and they go to the Aurora cover shoot, and there's a lie. Billy tells Camilla that Daisy wrote the song, and then Daisy turns around and at the photo shoot says, "Oh yeah, he was out of his mind that day." And it's like, well, he said that you wrote the song. And she's like, I don't know why he would say that. So I mean, it's a really it's got a lot of layers to it. In my opinion, it's got a lot of layers to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they're using a lot of those techniques from like the Beatles, and then even the vocals remind me of like kind of Beatles, like the Helter Skelter, because there's that like there's kind of this stuff going on in that song that I think is interesting.
Yeah, because to me, this song isn't very Fleetwood Mac sounding.
No,
it does. I think you're hitting it very well. It does pick up on a lot of the later Beatles stuff that they kind of matured into.
Yeah, like just especially experimentation, but the idea of like that backwards masking, that playing tape loops backwards always is kind of it's kind of unsettling, when you hear it, because you're like, this doesn't sound right. It's kind of like the uncanny valley of like, whenever you see computer generated people and they don't look quite right, it's kind of like it's this thing where your brain is trying to process it and go, that doesn't sound the way it's supposed to.
Right.
So, and then we get to my favorite song.
Your favorite song,
The River. And I just want to talk about two things. I want to talk about the bridge on this song. I mean, it once again is a song that starts out in a minor key and then it goes into a major key, and so this constant thing here. And I mean, as like I said, lots of songs do it, but I just think it's really dominant in all the songs that were written for this. And I do think it's about showing conflict in song the way they show the conflict on the show. And I really think there was probably a definite goal to that And in the sense, it's also really easier to do because of the way these songs are written, in the sense that they are kind of, a lot of times, kind of parts put together versus a traditional like pop song.
Hmm.
So let me just play the bridge to this song. Okay, so, and I'm calling it the bridge. I don't know. It might not be the bridge, but it's something. It's this break where she goes off, and
Hmm.
it's very different than what we were leading up to, and it gets really intense. And then we've got this drum break. And I would say again, this drum break to me immediately reminded me of something. So I will share you what I think it reminds me of. So it's a lot slower in what they're doing in the river, but that kind of the thud sound is, I
Hmm.
think, sounds just so much like Tusk. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, that's like Tusk. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, and then that where she does get so big, I mean, that does sound like something you would hear Stevie Nicks do.
oh yeah, I think in a very like kind of, especially the rawness of her
Hmm.
voice is very much like like The Chain and
Yeah.
other songs by so
Because there's a
uh,
lot of like ethereal sound to Stevie Nicks' voice throughout the songs, but then there's some of those songs, yeah, where she gets just super raw and super
mhm.
aggressive, and yeah, it's similar sound to me.
Yeah, so
But yeah, that
just
was a good
again,
connection between that and Tusk. I didn't pick that up.
and the idea of just, once again, there's this constant kind of back and forth between minor keys and kind of and then kind of ending on happy. And this one definitely kind of doesn't really it's very interesting the way it ends, because it kind of fades out. And then also, I just still love there's more bells in it again,
Hmm.
kind of bringing the bells back. And then the last part of the last song is called No Words. And to me, the harmonies really sound a lot like Fleetwood Mac on it. And there's like a lot of unresolved chords, because a lot of times you hear a song and then you kind of we all expect the next chord. We're used to it, and then this one has a lot of unresolved chords, and it's kind of why you feel the whole time kind of while it's playing, and you feel the singers their own unease and stuff
Hmm.
about this, because they can't resolve it either. Like, it's the idea of
Right.
you're lacking resolution in the actual chord structure, and you're lacking resolution for them and in the lyrics they're talking about it. So, and then there's like a false ending, and then it starts back up, so it almost, at the end, it sounds like maybe it's resolved, and then it starts back up, right,
Yeah.
almost like it did at the beginning. And so it's like this idea of there's not going to be resolution of this.
Right.
So
But let's
um
stop for a second, thinking that this is an LP. And again, I'm Googling as you're talking, trying to find out, like, can I get a list of where B side
mhm,
starts? But this is an LP, so this is the final track on the
mhm.
album.
Yeah,
What do you think about it being the final track of an album?
it's very dark.
I think it's a weird, like, to me, The River would have been a,
Yeah.
if I'm putting out an LP, it's the 70s, and I'm thinking I'm putting out an LP, I'm gonna end the LP. I would have ended it with The River. I would not have ended it with No Words.
No. I know, but I think that that's like, as a storyteller, they're putting it there for a reason.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um and I'm trying to think, like, I feel like I'm trying to think if I can think of an album that does kind of similarly end in a dark space. Let's look at Rumors just real quick, and because I can't remember the track list for Rumors.
Okay, so I'm looking at one on Spotify that has the last track as Gold Dust Woman. That's a little dark. Okay, so I'm gonna be weird for a second because you know how I am. So, and you may remember the song, you may not, but U2's The Joshua Tree. I just decided to go look at that one because that's my
Mhm.
band. So the final track of U2's The Joshua Tree is Mothers of the Disappeared, which is a very dark, quiet song. I guess it's not a Broadway album. I guess maybe that's where I'm looking at. Like on a Broadway album, you have like the, finale song that's big
Yeah.
but when we're talking rock and roll, maybe it's not that big.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it? I do think it's interesting, but as far as like when you think of the storytelling of the song,
Hmm.
it's um and you wonder where he was, where Billy was when he was writing this, or where they were when they were writing this. Um,
Yeah. All right.
but
So there you go.
that's it.
There's the
So
Aurora album in way more detail than
you probably ever wanted.
some people wanted to hear, but that's okay. That's how we are. That's how we roll.
I don't know. I thought it was fun, and
I thought it was great too.
we'll
And
see
you
if it
took it
gets
deeper than I ever could have.
let's see if
So
it gets blocked by YouTube. If
we'll
it,
see if it gets
I'll
blocked by
figure out
YouTube.
solutions if it
You're
does.
going to have a lot of editing to do on this one, my friend.
Yeah, I'll get it done.
I appreciate you for doing that.
Um, I
All
would
right.
say let's talk about season 2 of Nobody's Muses is going to be about the 7 husbands of Evelyn
Evelyn
Hugo.
Hugo. Yeah.
And that's probably gonna be maybe September that starts, because we've got vacations and
Yeah, and I
schools
think
starting
probably
back
what
up.
we'll have to do is, I mean, because again, with this writer's strike, I don't know where they are. I mean, we haven't even gotten any casting announcements. So who knows when this actually might drop. So we're going to start with the audio and the book
Yeah,
and dive into those. And then,
when the movie
maybe
comes out,
that
we'll do
will
it.
maybe that will create season 3 where we go where we go through the Netflix original series if they ever get it into production. I think they will. I think with, she had her movie that came out, didn't really have much success for that book, but I think now with the nominations for Daisy Jones, I think that will help push Netflix forward with making sure that this gets made. So
I mean, I
we'll see.
can't imagine what star would not want to do this movie. I mean,
No.
it's such a two great female, roles. I
Yeah.
mean, just so, and also a ton of other even like supporting roles for
There's
women in
amazing
this.
supporting male roles. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's going to get made. I just don't know when. But we'll dive into the book, and
we'll
that'll be
do
good
it.
because I haven't I listened to the audio. I didn't actually read the physical book. The audio was really, really good. Again, we have that interviewer style, so I'll dive into the book as well. And we'll probably be back in mid-September ish or so.
Yeah, we'll do it
Um,
chapters. We'll have to figure out how to do it by
yeah.
chapters. Try to not have marathon sessions. Try to keep it at an hour. So,
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
but
All
because
right. Don't forget, you can find us on YouTube or wherever you stream your favorite podcasts. We are on Instagram at Nobody's Muses. Feel free to send us an email, nobodysmuses@gmail.com. Send us a DM through Instagram. Shoot us a comment on YouTube, wherever. Like, follow, subscribe, share, all those things. We would appreciate it. And we will see you all back very, very soon.